ESPN radio coverage at 6 p.m. Eastern. College football, number one Alabama without Heisman Trophy winning quarterback Bryce Young out with a shoulder injury, survives Texas A&M 28-20. Number 11 Utah beaten by 18th ranked UCLA 42-32, and South Carolina beats number 13 Kentucky by 10.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
This should be Tom Brady's last year. You're 45 years old. You're still playing good football, but it's not as crisp.
Get more from the guys Monday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
It's game day. Welcome to ESPN690 Game Day Live. Live from the Duval House, next to TIAA Bank Field. ESPN Game Day Live is brought to you by Polar Seltzer, Celsius, and Gotakin. Here's Brent Martineau and Kasey Kuhrts.
What is happening on a Sunday morning? A beautiful one here in the month of October. We are hanging out at the Duval House on the front porch. Come on out and say hello. And I'm looking at TIAA Bank. I'm looking at people getting set up for the game, their game day duties. And we got a chance to have a celebratory day in Jacksonville as the Jaguars take on the Houston Texans. And it's fun around here. You know, coming off a loss, sometimes there's anxiety. I still sense there's a bit of fun with the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's expectation. There's hope. There's also expectation of this is a pretty good football team to go along with that hope from within the building and outside the building. Well, if you're a pretty good football team, you take care of business today, even though you've lost 8 straight to the Houston Texans. That's what we got on the line this afternoon, 1 o'clock kick on CBS 47. We take you all the way up until that this morning on ESPN 690. Game Day live from the Duval House, each and every home game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And, of course, we've got the show even on the road as well. But doing a little bit different when we're here at home. We got the tent set up. We got Celsius Essential Energy ready to hand out, live fit, and pass along to you as you stop on by. We've got Polar Seltzer as well, and we are just hanging out. Stop on by, say hello, give us a shout, beep the horn, do something. Show off your Trevor Lawrence jersey or whatever jersey you're going to do. It's alumni weekend, so you might have a bunch of different Jags jerseys. I don't think we're going to see a bunch of Houston jerseys today. I mean, why would we see a bunch of Houston Texans jerseys? That just wouldn't happen. Brent Martineau, Kasey Kuhrts here on a Sunday morning. Hey, Kasey and I feel like this is probably a road trip. We traveled to get back to the game for the Jags. Kasey from a wedding went from Indianapolis to Kentucky to back to Jacksonville. And not that you need to know my exploits, but just finished up a 14-hour and 25-hour stretch of RV driving up to North Carolina and back. Started at midnight Friday night and got back in about 1 o'clock this morning. So, or even a little bit later, I guess. But it does feel like we traveled to a game in a different way, Kasey.
Yeah, if I would have just waited a week, I would have been in the right location.
Actually, you bring up a better point. Shame on you and the wedding people, right?
Yeah,
or the schedule makers for the NFL.
You know, just one week off, we would have been exactly in the right spot. But, yeah, you know, whatever it takes to get back in place, Brent, I get we're gonna get through this one. Yeah,
we're gonna have to get through it. Playing a little bit on the fatigue side, but ready to go, too. Excited about a game day. And, hey, listen, this is one the Jags have to get, Kasey. We know that. I think these games make me nervous because there's scar tissue in the past. This game makes me nervous from the standpoint I think streaks matter. I think we saw it earlier this year. You can't say the Indianapolis streak has legs and then not say the Houston streak matters. You know, I mean, you got to put the two together. And, again, we just saw it again on Monday night. Not to say San Francisco's a bad team, but San Francisco has beaten a good Rams team now 7 consecutive times in the regular season. Kyle Shanahan's a good coach. He ain't that much better of a coach than Sean McVay. So why does that stuff happen? I don't know. But it scares me, and it should scare the Jags a little bit today. They better be ready to play. They've got to come ready to play. Yes, they're better, but it doesn't matter. You have to go get it done, Kasey.
Yeah, you do. I mean, the streak is real. I'll give you that. But if you're the Jags, you got to be thinking about it the opposite of Indianapolis, right? Indianapolis being asked about it. The media wants to know every question about it. I think here you look at it a little differently. Like, yeah, you know, things were bad. We got unlucky at the end of when the Jags were good. Then they didn't barely won any games for 2 years. You throw that one out. You just start fresh. You know what I'm saying? Doug Peterson, he hasn't lost to the Houston Texans as the coach of the Jags. I think that's the way you got to go at it. and hopefully he can right a wrong that really shouldn't have been a wrong for this long. How have they not beaten Houston? Everybody's beating Houston. I don't get it.
I don't either. I really don't get it. Like, it's a weird one. And last year was really the one that's like, really? I mean, 2017, the Jags whooped up on the Texans. They haven't beat them since. The Jags went into a tailspin in 18. They won one game in 19, right? Was it that year, 19? No.
20.
No, 19 they won 6. They had 19 doesn't make much sense why they couldn't beat them at least a little bit. 20 was when they won one game. Okay, you didn't beat anybody.
Yeah.
So that makes last year's the one though to me because Houston was worse than you, and you still ended up worse than them.
Yeah.
Like that's what the weird part is. Is this one just to piggyback on what you just said though? Like the Colts one is inexplicable because the Jags have not been as good as the Colts for most of those games. And the Colts one last year exacerbated the whole situation because they were going to the playoffs. They had everything to play for, and the Jags had really nothing to play for and still beat them. So that one, like, really put that streak and the talk of it on steroids, and Indianapolis blew it up, and now it's in their heads. To what you just said, I wonder if this is a little bit easier to attack because it's Peterson and a new regime, but the Jags can simply say, we're much better than we have been the last few years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? Is that all you do? Is that if you say the Jags? Yeah, but those Jags teams stunk. Like, we're better.
Yeah. That's the approach I would go with. And even off of last year, like, yeah, we had a coach that was awful and didn't know who was who. So we can throw that one out as well. It just sucked the way that the schedule played out last year, at least with the first game being in Houston. Like, that was just not a good recipe. The second one, it is what it is. But, yeah, I think that's what I would look at is, yeah, we're better. We know we're better. The whole league knows we're better. We just went to L.A. and won. We played the Eagles pretty tight. A couple turnovers might go a little differently. So, yeah, I think you're better than you have been by a long shot. Houston, they're about what they've been, maybe a little better, but still you're more talented by leaps and bounds, in my opinion. So, yeah, it's as simple as you're better than you were, you have better players, and let the streak end.
And really Doug Peterson, who is trying to change everything around here, right, change the culture, go out from a winning standpoint. I think he's done such a good job of it here in the first month. And really you got to go all the way back to when he was hired in February. That's where it starts for those guys. But I think he has a chance to become a little bit of a streak buster. And the 18-game road streak, right? The can't win out west conversation, put to bed. And now you get this one. And I'm not really sure if there's enough. I mean, obviously there's like a winning season one and all the rest. Like there will be more down the road if the Jags can put themselves in position. But these are kind of the big ones. Like that road losing streak was gross. The streak here against Houston feels gross. I guess there is one more, and that's coming up in 2 weeks against the Giants specifically. The Jags have now lost, I forget the number, it might be 17, 18 against the NFC in a row. They lost to Washington. I think that was the 17th one. I think Philly might have been the 18th one in a row to the NFC, so to that conference. And the Jags could put that to bed with a win over the Giants here in a few weeks. So Doug Peterson has a chance a little bit to be a streak buster. And when you have those negative streaks, he knows it's not on him. He wasn't even a part of it. He does a good job of saying that. Not on this team for the most part. But it does kind of switch the conversation because we talk about numbers in the media. Fans know the numbers. Players know the number. Like Josh Allen, when they beat the Chargers, Josh Allen interrupted me in the postgame when I was asking a question and said, yeah, 19 is, or 18 in a row, it's done or something. Mm-hmm. And like he knew the road losing streak, right? I mean, he was walking off the field. I later saw on Jaguars.com, and he was talking about it. I'm not sure they're talking about this one to that extent because I had some players on the shows this week on TV, and when I said that to them, they're like, oh, really? So it's not a major conversation point inside the building, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Which is a good thing. It's kind of how you want it. I think that's part of the problem with Indianapolis. Like, everybody knows about it. They talk about it. It's like the lead on the nightly news. I was just in Indianapolis. They're still not over it. Like, I mean, I think it's better to go at it with this approach. They know that they probably shouldn't be in this position. But for a lot of the guys on the team, Josh Allen's not included in this because he's been here. But a lot of the guys that are here new, and they're new, they're like, oh, we didn't even know that was a thing because it's not a thing for us yet. They have to go out there today and prove that it's not a thing for them, though.
So I think the Jags are pretty good. Do you think the Jags are pretty good?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, it's relative, right? I mean, relative to good is 4 wins over the last couple of seasons. They have a chance to get their third already in 5 games this year.
Yeah.
Okay, that's relative to the last couple of years. But, I mean, relative to the league, they are even after really getting dominated for 3 quarters last week, it evened out some of the stats, but the stats still look pretty good. Like the Jags over the first month show really strong in a lot of statistical categories in terms of efficiency and all these crazy metrics that the NFL now uses, and even your typical metrics. And then on top of that, like, what are they, like 3rd seed right now in the AFC? Like if things were to stop today, and they hung around with Philly even though they've turned it over 5 times. Like I think they almost gained some respect. Like, hey, they might still beat themselves a bit, but if they don't, they can beat anybody or just about anybody.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Just the way they played Philly, to me at least, it says, they are pretty good. And I think it was not unlucky, but the way that it turned out, we all know how it turned out. I don't need to go back to it. But probably had an opportunity to win that game if the couple things don't go the other way. So, yeah, I think they're pretty good. Relatively, of course, they're not Kansas City, but this is how they prove they're good. They're pretty good, at least. You got to beat the Houston Texans. Like, if they don't beat the Houston Texans, then no, I'm not going to sit here the rest of the week and say they're pretty good. I'm going to say, they might be pretty bad and got lucky against the Chargers because you can't lose to the Houston Texans at home. I don't care if there's a streak. I don't care if you got people hurt. This is not a team you lose to at home. You just can't do it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of saying. That's where I was going with it. Like, if you're good, if you're pretty good, you don't have to be great, then you win this game. Like, you have to win this game. These are winnable games. The NFL is hard. It's hard to win. There's no gimmies. I fully understand it. I will preach that forever. I've seen it too long. We should all know that. We believe that. Like, you can't just walk up and win. This is not college football, and even that doesn't seem to be happening these days, but it definitely doesn't happen in the NFL like that. That being said, if you are a pretty good team, you beat teams that are pretty significant in terms of less talent than you. And the Jags have been on the receiving end of that very often. I think Houston right now should be on the receiving of that end of that here in 2022, and that includes the Jacksonville Jaguars. And if they are able to beat Houston today, it feels like, the way I started the show today, a little bit of a celebratory feel around here. The Jaguars are recognizing Tony Boselli today, their first Hall of Famer. He will have the halftime ring ceremony. They've honored him all week. Thursday was a key to the city. Last night, a big alumni party and at the Ritz, and also a showing of the new documentary that Jaguars.com pushed out. You'll be able to see that this morning again at Daly's Place if you come in early to the game. They're going to air that. They're going to have the YouTube premiere, I believe, coming out tomorrow or this week sometime. But there are over 50 alums in town. You got guys like we had James Stewart on the show the other day. You got Jimmy Smith back in town. There's that kind of feel to, hey, this feels pretty good. Plus, it was Trevor's birthday on Thursday. I just saw it was Cam Robinson's birthday today.
Dude, I missed everything all week. What the heck?
This is, it just has this feel around here. Like, they're not celebrating, oh, my gosh, the Jags, just made the postseason. Like, they're not throwing parades. But this has, like, a celebratory, good feel kind of weekend. If there was a homecoming weekend in the NFL, this would be it for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, it has a lot going on. And I think it would be nice to just put an exclamation point on with a W. I mean, they actually do have their homecoming game with the schedule makers, Mm-hmm. I mean, the Houston Texans are as close to an NFL homecoming game as you get.
Yeah, it's like Vanderbilt.
It should be. Vanderbilt was up in that game yesterday against Ole Miss. Did they end up winning?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I was surprised.
Unconfirmed. I didn't see that they won. I feel like I would have seen it, but I heard that they were winning at one point. Yeah.
You don't follow along too much as you're driving, that big RV.
I have no idea what happened fully. So if something shocking happened, subtly put that in there.
Once you threw that out, I didn't know where you were going with that. That means they won and upset somebody.
True.
Or no, they were just another Vanderbilt team. But anyway, that's I think it has a little bit of that feel here in town today. Plus, the weather's beautiful. I mean, it's just, you know what I mean? Sometimes you just have a week that it all goes together nice. And the only part about this that's missing right now, because they just haven't played the game, are the Jacksonville Jaguars playing a good football game and winning the game and going to 3-2. And if you listen to us all week and you listen to me at all, I'm a big believer, Kasey, and I don't know if you feel as strong. I think the Jags need to stay ahead of the chains. And that means stay ahead of the win-loss column in over 500. You can be 500, but can you stay over 500? And eventually I'm going to say, hey, can you get 2 games over 500? And can you give yourself a little breathing room? This is a stretch we talked about this week that is very, very attainable, gettable. I don't think the Jags are going to cruise here and just go win 4 in a row. I do think they need to win 2 out of the next 3 if they're going to be relevant and in this thing for the remainder. And this is a part of the schedule where if you are going to do that, you probably win 2 out of 3. Doesn't mean you have to win today, but then that puts a lot more pressure on the next couple of weeks against the Colts and the Giants. I think staying ahead of the chains, I think being 3-2, giving yourself an opportunity, Kasey, in the stretch to maybe get it to 4-2, maybe get it to 5-2. Heck, Denver, maybe get it to 6. I mean, have a chance to think like, whoa, we did not see this coming. I think that's the emphasis today on today's game, and that's why it's so valued and important them to get a W today, no matter what it looks like.
Yeah, I agree. Win by 1, win by a half. If you can figure out how to do that, Vegas has been doing it. But if you can figure it out, go for it, Jags. But, yeah, I mean, I think it just comes down to we didn't know this at the beginning of the season, but we know it now. They're more talented than the teams they're about to play in this stretch. I think all of them, you can debate Denver, but they're definitely better coached than Denver. But you have to beat the teams you're more talented than. That's like how it works. Will the Chiefs be haunted by losing to the Colts? Maybe. We'll see how that plays out the rest of the season. You got to take care of your business. You didn't against Washington. Hopefully that doesn't come back to hurt them. It was week 1. I get it. But they're more talented than the next couple teams they play, and especially today. Don't let Brandon Cooks beat you. It seems like that's a theme. He's a talented guy, but you gotta get a win any way possible. 3-0, 2-0, whatever it takes, Brent.
I've never given – yeah, I agree. I've never given Brandon Cooks probably enough credit, but he kills the Jags. Like, he kills the Jags. Talk a little bit more about this game and the breakdown of this game. And I mentioned this a bunch on Friday. There's so much about the run game involved in today. But Brandon Cooks is really the only guy that you, from a receiving standpoint, that you really get your eyes on. You're like, wow, that guy could single-handedly have a big game because I've seen it happen before against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I just feel like the Jags are so much more equipped to handle a guy like Brandon Cooks. And the biggest thing for the Jags is they just can't take their foot off the gas. I mean, you had your eyes set on Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Now Allen didn't play. You had your eyes set last week on, obviously, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. You come against the Texans and you're like, well, okay, it's Brandon Cooks. Like, you got to avoid that. I don't care what people say. That is human instinct. It's just natural to do that. I don't care how big of an athlete, how much you're paid to be an athlete. That's why we have upsets. That's why you overlook people, because you're just not as locked in and focused. And so the Jags need to make sure they do that, and maybe that loss last week got them primed and ready to do that. I do feel like this is a hungry team, a mentally tough team, and I do think they'll bounce back. I think they'll play a good football game today here at the stadium. Hey, we're just hoping to have a good show. ESPN 690 Game Day live from the Duval House. We've got Celsius Essential Energy out here. Live Fit. Stop on by. We'll give you a free sample. Polar Seltzer as well. Give you a free sample. Say hello to the guys over there at the tent. Say hello to me right here on the front steps of the Duval House. It's
Take
the
a
Teal
selfie.
House. That's right. Take a selfie. I'm sitting in a rocking chair right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm like an old man on the front porch right now.
Hey, by the way, is this your RV in the parking lot here?
It is.
Okay, just checking.
I had to put it somewhere, man.
Well, I thought that too. I was like, I wonder what he did with the RV. And then I pull in, it's like blocking all 18 parking spots we have. I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
Nice.
well, we have a lot of parking
Way to
spots.
just dump it right in front of the building, Brent.
I had to put it there, one, because I got to bring it back, but I have no time to bring it back,
Yeah.
Like, I can't bring it back today. I got to bring it back tomorrow.
True.
So, and I figured the HOA would be all over me
Oh, yeah.
if I brought that home.
Yeah, you don't need that,
It's a big sucker, though, isn't it?
It's large. Yeah, it's large and in charge. You did a good job driving, Brent. Well,
Yeah.
as far as I understand it, it looks pretty clean, and you made it back. So.
Yeah, we did. Friends at Travel Camp helping us out there. And we're gonna be out here with an RV, actually, for Florida, Georgia week coming up, too. That is later on this month. We got a big Jags game today, 1 o'clock on CBS 47. We're going to talk more about it. Kasey Kuhrts, Brent Martineau, ESPN 690. Game Day live from the Duval House on ESPN 690.
Mondays like nobody does them in Jacksonville. We start with MJD at 3.
I'm excited.
You should
I'm
be.
excited. I hope everyone else is as well, because this is a different team. And, as you look around the AFC South, everyone's starting to struggle a little. And so you just got to keep getting better each week.
And then Rasheem Mathis at 4.
As a Jacksonville community, we should be excited. We should be very excited. I love what I'm seeing. I love the passion. I love the aggressiveness. I love everything about the Jaguars and how they're playing across the board right now.
Catch them every Monday on ESPN 690.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
A mostly sunny and warm day under a clear and partly cloudy sky with afternoon highs in the middle 80s. Still partly sunny and a bit warm Monday, high 82. From the Action News Jax First Alert Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Corey Sema.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds. Save thousands on buy one, get one on wedding bands now through October 23rd.
Are you ready for a scary good deal? Then get to Arlington Toyota for the Ghost Your Payments event and watch your payments like a ghost disappear. How about no payments until 2023 on your new Toyota purchase? Arlington will even waive your last 6 lease or loan payments. Got a trade? Arlington will pay up to MSRP for your trade. You'll also get no maintenance costs for 4 years. It's the Ghost Your Payments event going on now at Arlington Toyota, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/October for full detail.
Hey, does your car still only play CDs? No Bluetooth? No CarPlay? You got an old car, my friend. You know what's better than an old car? A less old car. Get a car or truck that's new to you with a great used car loan from 1-to-1 Financial, Jacksonville's hometown credit union. Get pre-approved for a loan and shop at any dealership in town. Get a low rate and get rid of that old car today. Apply online at 1to1fcu.org. Federally insured by NCUA.
We're local, you're local. Shop local. Please shop local retailers right here in the 904.
Shop the 904.
When you shop local retailers, you're making an investment in our community.
When you shop locally owned businesses, most of the money you spend with them stays right here in our community. Shop these great local businesses.
Air conditioning, David and Associates, Farah and Farah, Florida Eye Specialist, Rhino Shield, Peterbrook Chocolate.
Now, more than ever, we need to support local businesses and shop the 904.
They're a big part of what makes living in the 904 so great. To get your business listed, email shopthe904@cmg.com. That's shopthe904@cmg.com. Get your business listed.
Shop the 904.
To get your business listed, email shopthe904@cmg.com.
Sell your home with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. You'll save time and make the most money. Hi, this is Mark Spain, and our offers are the strongest in the industry, so you can sell your home stress-free and make the most money. When you get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, there are no showings, no open houses, and no stress. Find out what your guaranteed offer would be. There's no obligation. Call 855-299-SOLD or go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing.
Certain restrictions apply.
Prices are going up everywhere these days, but not at Beards Diamonds.
Prices are falling at Beards Diamonds.
Now through October 23rd.
Buy any band and get the other band free.
Yes, the buy one, get one band event is back at Beards Diamonds. Now through October 23rd, you can save like never before.
Beards has brought in cases of inventory with the latest styles from the hottest designers just for the sale. It's the largest selection of men's and women's wedding bands in North Florida.
No other jewelry store can match Beards prices. Buy any band and get another band free.
You can save thousands.
But hurry, these savings won't last long.
If you're getting married soon or want to upgrade your wedding bands, now is the time during Beards Buy One, Get One sale.
Now through October 23rd.
Get the lowest prices in Jacksonville.
Guaranteed at Beards Diamonds.
At the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com.
Action Sports Jax. Watch, listen, subscribe. You can watch us on CBS 47 and Fox 30. You can listen right here on ESPN 690. And you can subscribe to our YouTube and podcast, Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Action Sports Jax. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Yeah, you want guys to try to push through injury, number one. I think that sends a great message to their teammates, you know. We, you know, as coaches, I mean, we do, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that they can't injure themselves any further. I think we do a great job, you know, with Jeff Ferguson and our docs just of managing that, you know, with these guys. But yeah, I think it sends a great message to the rest of the team that, you know, these guys are out here practicing with a little injured.
That is Doug Peterson. That's what happens in the NFL now. A lot of guys playing hurt, but you're also going to be a little careful. And last week they were careful with Zay Jones. They'll get him back. This week, they're careful with Foley Fatukasi. He will not play in the game. They call up Corey Peters last night, and we'll see what kind of difference it makes. Listen, you are not going to have guys every game. It's just not. The Jags were super fortunate for the most part in the first month, and quite frankly, I think they're pretty fortunate right now. They did have Shaq Griffin miss a game a few weeks back, too. So they now have some missing games on the ledger. But overall, they've been pretty good, so knock on some wood. The Jags need to stay that way. A game or two here or there, that's one thing. The longer injuries, that's a different thing. And so Jags got to try to keep staying healthy. There's some luck involved with that, of course. Talked a lot about that on Friday. The luck of this franchise, is it changing? Are we watching that a little bit? The schedule that they have, some of the injuries, the way they've been able to manage a little bit better than some other teams. Well, you got to take advantage of it now if that is the case. And this next month, I think, will go a long way of telling us who the Jacksonville Jaguars are. Brent Martineau, along with Kasey Kuhrts. We call it ESPN690 Game Day Live from the Duval House. And we do this every Sunday, home or away, but we do it from the front steps of the Duval House, the Teal House, right at the foot of the Hart Bridge, right near the stadium, on home games. And we'll do it on Florida-Georgia Day as well.
Yeah,
so come on out, say hello. Brought to you, of course, by Celsius Essential Energy. Live Fit. Hope you're able to get our fantasy picks as well. Brought to you by Celsius Essential Energy, Live Fit. And also we've got the Polar Seltzer out there. We've got the fellas underneath the tent. We're handing them out. They're playing some ESPN. We got some music. We got a little bit of everything going on here at the Duval House. There'll be some music playing. And we always have a charity as well. River City Pride is today's charity. Nice. And so they are here. And will be the beneficiary of any dollars that get raised. It doesn't cost you anything to come on by the Duval House. There's food, there's drink. Hopefully you will make a donation to get a wristband, come on in. But everything, once you're in, is free. So you can enjoy a good time throughout this late morning and into the early afternoon. All right, let's break this down in a big way. Kasey Kuhrts, and it starts with the quarterback. Trevor Lawrence had a bad game last week. Trevor Lawrence just turned 23 years old. Trevor Lawrence, after the first quarter of the season, has been better, and he's had some really good moments. That was an ugly one on Sunday. We can blame the weather. We'll talk more about it when weather becomes an issue again down the road. We don't have that today. I think it's one that you do throw out unless we start to see that more. We see him fumble a football a couple times today, not be able to handle snaps. We might talk about it a little bit more. We see that in the next few weeks. We might talk about it a little more. Other than that, I'm not sure we're going to talk about this game that I feel like was a bit of an aberration until they play in a game that has some sloppy weather, cooler temperatures, whatever, again this year. And that might not happen from a weather standpoint. I would say Tennessee comes into play later in the year. London could come into play a little bit in that regard from a rain standpoint. That'll be probably a little bit warmer of a rain than even we got in Philly. And then maybe later in the year in New York. So I'm just not sure the fumble stuff is as relevant week to week unless he does it again. And then it starts becoming a topic here in Jacksonville, Kasey.
Yeah, can't have the fumbles, right? I'm with you there. We won't bring it up again unless it's a problem. And if we're fumbling in broad daylight when there's no rain, then yeah, we're going to have to bring it up because then it might be a bit of a problem. But yeah, I think it's a big game for Trevor. I was just looking at the stats. Obviously, the first game against Houston last year, we're going to throw that one out as well. But the second game, 210 yards passing, 57%, I think it was, against Houston. You know what I'm saying? So we got to be better than that. Obviously, the receivers are better now than he had last year to throw to. I think he'll be better. And he has to be, Brent. There's no other way around it. And what I'm looking for, I think I've said this earlier in the week, but we got to take care of the football. We got to take care of it.
Yeah, and I think he has done a pretty good job of taking care of the football from an interception standpoint, right? I mean, he's 8 touchdowns, 2 picks now. Like, that's what we look at. How many times when we talk quarterbacks do we sit there and look up the statistics for fumbles?
Not a lot, but when you do it 4 times in a game, then we start digging into it a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
When they say, like, again, last week, when they start saying he's the only guy this century to fumble 4 times and lose 4 fumbles, well, then, okay, it becomes a thing. But I think everybody's logical enough and wants to at least say, listen, those first couple definitely were weather-related. And then the last 2, again, I have a problem with the last one because I think he could have got out of there or held on to it or felt it or whatever. The third one was Jawan Taylor just got blitzed, and Jawan Taylor has been very good, but on that play he was not. And Reddick was a beast. So I just don't think we talk about it that much. I think overall he's done a good job. In fact, I think some of his bad plays this year have come from him trying to protect the football too much. I think he overthrows sometimes, maybe even the Agnew play, although that one was described a little differently. He's waiting for Agnew to come out of the break. That could have made it 21-0. He gets hit a beat too early, and so he can't see that. And so I think he did err on the side of caution, plus the wind was going that way. There was a lot that went into that play. But if you go back to the ETN miss in week 1, I still think he does that and he overthrows because he's the only guy that can catch it. Like, that's why I think he overthrew that ball, because in his mind this year, I'm not throwing turnover. I'm not going to turn over. I'm not going to turn over. The one time that was goofy with it was the end of the game against Washington, where he I'm flinging this thing. And it came out of his hand bad at the same time. And I could still argue I think he was trying to throw it more out of bounds on that play, but it just was a duck. And then the interception this time around was underthrown into the wind. And I'm not sure Christian Kirk did a great job on that play either. Yeah. Not sure it should have been an interception. So, again, I don't think interceptions and putting the ball in danger have been a big topic like through this first 4 weeks. The fumbles just were like, whoa, what was that? Let's hope we never see that again. And that's the thing. When you turn over 5 times, hopefully Trevor Lawrence will play 15 years in the NFL, and he might do that one more time.
Right.
That's the kind of performance that was.
Yeah.
You hope.
Yeah. It was a rare one that hopefully is not something that's going to appear again. I'm with that. So, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Again, I think there are some things that you said with the interceptions and the some of the balls he's thrown. So we'll see if he's worked that out of his game. I think, by the way, I think this is confirmed, Brent. Jonathan Grenard for the Texans not going to play, right?
It doesn't. No, I mean, yeah, he's out. I think he was out. Did they rule him out Friday? I know he missed practice all week.
I believe so, but I was going to check with you because you were, around it. But yeah, we'll go with it. So anyway, what I'm trying to get at with that is, I think Grenard's a good player. Yeah. He had some 8 sacks last year, has a 1.5 already this season. I think that's just another plus that the pressure might not be on Trevor and let him make good decisions.
Yeah, listen, their defense is sneaky better than people think. Like, they've got some players on there. But, he didn't even travel with the team, Grenard. I knew he'd missed practice and kind of expecting him to be out, but just wanted to confirm. So he's out, and he is a good little player for them. He's had a nice career coming off that Florida Gator career so far, or early in his NFL career. So we'll see what kind of defense they can throw at him. I think they're going to throw. Listen, Lovie Smith's a defensive guy. They're not going to be a walkover on defense. He can craft something up, scheme something up. I think they have some pretty good players. That's where their stronger players are from a roster standpoint, are actually on the back end of that. But I think if this goes back to Trevor, Doug, there's so much confidence in him scheming things up. Then the Jags just have to execute what they're scheming up and do a better job of that. Because what was lost last week, the receivers were terrible outside of Jamal Agnew. Like, the receivers got a pass because Trevor fumbled it 4 times. Mm-hmm. Christian Kirk got the pass of the week. He really wasn't good. And he's been excellent. And so Christian Kirk needs a bounce-back game. Zay Jones comes back in. Marvin Jones, get new streak going. Evan Ingram, I think he had 1 ball last week.
We need you, Evan.
Yeah, Evan's got to step back up, and they got to create and make him part of the offense.
Where's Daniel? Arnold?
It was everybody, right? Yeah, where's my man Dan? So it was everybody, but lost in that shuffle was Trevor. He couldn't hang on the ball, and there's part of that. The reason you can't get the other guys going is because you had 47 snaps in the game. You never had the football. You turned it over. It was a little reminiscent of FSU last night in the second half, where they just never had the football. So it all starts with Trevor. I understand he's the focal point, but this is like a bounce-back game for the offense. It's not just a bounce-back game for Trevor Lawrence. They have got to get something cooking and get back to what we saw in those first few weeks. Even against Washington, we saw all these plays that were there that just didn't make them. Then they cooked for a couple of weeks, and it was terrific. It was a lot of fun. Everything was working. Then last week, whether it was the rain, whether it was just poor performance, it wasn't there. And I'm not even sure it was on Doug. I just think it wasn't there for them. And Philly, you got to give them credit, too. They're a good football team, and right now the best in the NFL. So I think Doug has to get back to James Robinson. They got to feed him. They've got to figure out how to use both those guys and still have fun throwing the football around and continue to build confidence in Trevor Lawrence. Because what we saw in those 2 weeks, we saw a guy in Trevor that was building confidence. He was starting to play with some swag. He felt like the guy that he thinks he is. He felt like the guy that these guys think he is, the number 1 overall pick. And that takes some building now. He does not lack confidence, but what I always say is he lacks trust. And when he's come to Jacksonville in 20-something games, there hasn't been a lot to trust. Well, what you saw against Indianapolis and the Chargers was, hey, I'm starting to trust this thing. And there's no doubt, everybody in that locker room, and don't take this lightly, trust Doug Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
They trust the heck out of that guy right now. And they absolutely love what he's doing. And they feel when he calls a play, this is going to work. Like, every time he calls a play, when they read, like, he must have the most amazing attention from the offensive players right now in practice, Kasey. Because when he dials something up, and him and Press Taylor and Mike McCoy and that offensive staff, Jim Bob Cooter, when they start going over this thing and they run it on installation or they run it on a walk through yesterday, people must be locked in because there's been so many times already this season that he's dialed up a play on a Saturday practice in a walkthrough or in a meeting, and they've come out and it's worked on Sunday.
Yeah.
Again, that does not happen around here. Like, that is, don't take that for granted. Like, that is happening right now in Jacksonville. I think Doug's, for the most part, been coaching his butt off. So we'll see if he can do it again today. It's up to him to put him in that position. Will they have a good plan, all those things. But don't get this mistaken. Doug Peterson has probably won the scheming game. He's probably 4-0 offensively. The Jags players didn't execute it properly 2 of those times.
I think I'll give you 3-1 at best. I still have questions about what happened last week in the run game and all of that. So, listen, I hear what you're saying in Washington. I absolutely agree. Last week yet to be seen because, frankly, Trevor fumbled pretty quick on a couple of those plays, so I don't even know what was supposed to happen there. But I understand what you're saying. I think it's a good point. He is out coaching the other team most of the time, and we'll have to see if that can continue. To your point, though, Brent, about the receivers and kind of everybody being off last week, wouldn't you rather, if everyone's going to be off, at least all be off on the same day? Because then you don't want the receivers playing great, and then you got Trevor who can't do it or vice versa. Like, I think in a weird way, I'd rather have everybody off than pieces off and pieces on because then you kind of know what you're going to get.
That's a really good call, because you think about how many times, just think of the conversation last year, I've been doing this 15 years here in Jacksonville, and you're like, well, today Trevor played well, but those guys dropped 5 passes. Today, they couldn't block anybody. So it's hard to tell if anybody even did anything.
Yeah.
And then you're right, though. Last week it was everything. It was the offensive line failed in some spots, in some critical spots, and Jawan Taylor, who's been excellent, had his worst game. And then Trevor couldn't hold on to the football, had his worst game. And then the receivers and Christian Kirk and others dropped passes, like 5 of them. Like his completion percentage last week would have been like 70%, if they caught passes. And then, the only guys you can't really blame last week, I would say, are Etienne and James. They just didn't get it.
Right.
And so
James especially.
Yeah. So do you expect a big day from them?
Yeah, I would think so. I think you go back to what's worked for you. They ran the football well in the 2 games they won, and then Trevor made the plays that he had to. So, yeah, I would say you come out, you run the football again. I don't know what happened last week with James Robinson, whether it was the fumble, whether there's some behind-the-scenes stuff with weather practice, we don't know. But, yeah, I think you come out, you establish him. Christian Kirk's good. Don't get me wrong. I still think James is your best player on offense. You got to get him going. You got to get him going early. Houston, the only good game Jonathan Taylor's had all year was to Houston. Running backs continue to do well against them. Yeah, I'd come out and run the ball early and often.
Okay, so I just asked this question. It's kind of weird, right?
Probably. You do that.
James Robinson, Travis Etienne. They're both good players. I don't think we've seen Etienne. We've had these conversations. James, we know what he's done. But then I said, big day today for them? And I believe it is, because I think they're going to want to run and they want to create and they want to play action pass and they want to be able to they got to take advantage of a weakness, which is the Texans run defense. But then I say, is there such thing as a big game for Etienne and Robinson in Doug Peterson's offense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Can they both have a big day on the same day?
Yeah, and almost can one of them. Listen, James has had some big moments already this season. But can you have like the 165-yard day, the 140-yard day, which might be hard anyway because you're sharing some time with Etienne and you want to get both guys touches. But also, is that even a thing? in Doug Peterson's offense.
Yeah, I would say no, because to me, like when you say, can they have a big day? Like to me, James Robinson, a big day would be 74 and 2 touchdowns. He's done his job. You know what I mean? Together, they could have those rushing numbers that you just put together. That'd be a huge day. But for me, like, James scores the touchdowns. He does the dirty work. Like, you get over 70 yards, you get a couple of touchdowns, at least one. That counts as a big day for me for James Robinson. Travis Etienne, a little different. Does he catch some balls? Does he, 50 yards rushing, 50 yards receiving, something like that? Then you get to those numbers. But I think big day in Doug Peterson offense from the running back comes from the touchdowns, not necessarily the big yardage numbers.
Yeah, and by the way, the importance of the 75 yards could be massive. You get over the 100 because you break one out, right? He got over 100. He had a lot of touches against Indianapolis, James did, but he also broke that 37-yarder, I think it was, for the touchdown. I guess the piggyback question of this is everybody's waiting for the Travis Etienne breakout game. I'm not even sure what that looks like, Kasey. Like, when I think of a breakout game for Etienne, I'm actually thinking of a breakout play. I'm thinking of he takes the screen 58 yards for the score.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a game, by the way. That's a play. But to me, if he did everything that he's been doing, which is pretty good when he touches the football, I actually think he's picked some wrong lanes and can even be better. Like, you can see it. It's there. He's just going to get a little more comfortable. But I think it really is a play. I'm waiting for the breakout play from Etienne where he dazzles us, or he just, boom, takes off like a rocket and ends up on a screenplay or a something play and into the end zone for that big 58, 65, 72-yard play, which really has just been a non-existent kind of part of the Jags offense for a long time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it is the play. And with that, I think if he had some of the opportunities that James had, again, no shot at James, but Etienne would have been gone on some of those runs. So, yeah, Etienne has the ability to pop one, and it's coming, right? And today might be the day. And you saw what Dameon Pierce did last week, at least for Houston. You get him in open field, he's gone. Like, that's all Travis needs. You get one, you pop one, you're gone. Now you're en route to a big day. There's no doubt.
I got to look this up, bringing this conversation. Like, I wonder, and I don't know if there's probably an easy way to look this up, and I got to find it. The longest play from scrimmage for the Jacksonville Jaguars in the last, I don't even know. Like, how far do you have to go back to find something over 70 yards? Maybe it happened last year.
I don't think so.
What's the longest play this year? James' 37-yard run? Or have they had like a 40?
Whatever the fourth down was it, I think.
Oh, yeah, you're right. What was that? That was right at midfield.
Yeah, it's like 50.
Okay, so that's a 50-yarder. And that's probably the longest play this year. So, yeah, I'm going to have to try to look that up and see what the longest play for the Jags coming into this season, like how far do you have to go back? And maybe I'm missing something.
Like, I know this isn't what you're going for, but like the Agnew play, but that's not what you're going for.
No, that doesn't count. Yeah. I'm not talking the return. You're right. Those would count. But I'm talking from a play from scrimmage. So I'll word it better. A play from scrimmage, longest play for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I should add, that's resulted in a touchdown.
Hopefully you can find one before Keelan Cole against Seattle.
Yeah, how long was that?
17.
No, I mean,
75.
how long was the play? Was that 75?
Yeah.
Gosh, I hope we can find one. Well, we might not be able to.
Yeah.
We'll be back. We're live from the Duval House. ESPN690 Game Day Live rolls on here on a Sunday morning. Jags in Houston. You can watch the game, by the way, at 1 o'clock on CBS 47.
The 2022 American Cancer Society's Real Men Wear Pink Golf Tournament returns to the First Coast Friday, October 14th at Deer Creek Country Club. Shotgun start at 8:30 a.m., hole-in-one and proximity contest, live scoring updates, and lots of prizes available, with all proceeds benefiting the American Cancer Society, finding cures and fighting back against cancer to help people get well and stay well. A few foursomes remain. Visit rmwpgolfjacksonville.org to register your foursome. Proudly sponsored by Campione Law and North Florida Medical Center.
Like bones, your teeth lose density and become weaker over time, which can lead to tooth decay. And that can make your visit to the dentist feel like this. But if you want your dental visit to feel like this, try Crest Densify. Crest Densify actively rebuilds tooth density to extend the life of teeth by remineralizing enamel. Densify from Crest, the #1 toothpaste brand in America. Smile, Crest has you covered.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
Hi, this is Keith Gurr, president of American Window Products. Right now, we're offering a free installation on 6 or more windows, as well as a free energy package. Go to AmericanWindowProducts.com and click for an estimate. That's AmericanWindowProducts.com. American Window Products, we are the window professionals.
Did you know that the air in your home can be much worse than the air outdoors? In fact, the EPA lists indoor air quality as one of the top 5 health threats in America. Zero Res can help. Cleaning air ducts is all about power. The more power you have, the more air you can move, and that's how you clean air ducts. Our truck mount system moves over 1,500 CFMs to pull out all the dirt and debris out of your home. Right now, Zero Res is offering $50 off the cleaning of your air duct system. Zero Res, spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
You're pregnant. How far?
1 month, 2. No doctor yet. I can't afford it.
Protect yourself and your baby. The health department can help you out. Test for STDs.
I don't have diseases.
You don't know. You don't always have symptoms. STDs make you and your baby sick.
I don't want my baby sick.
No one cares more about your baby than you.
I'm calling my county health department.
A message from the Florida Department of Health, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Hey, does your car still only play CDs? No Bluetooth? No CarPlay? You've got an old car, my friend. You know what's better than an old car? A less old car. Get a car or truck that's new to you with a great used car loan from 1-to-1 Financial, Jacksonville's hometown credit union. Get pre-approved for a loan and shop at any dealership in town. Get a low rate and get rid of that old car today. Apply online at 1to1fcu.org. Federally insured by NCUA.
It's the Blitz Scoreboard Show every Friday night at 9 p.m. on ESPN690. Join Brent Martineau, Kasey Kuhrts, and the Hall of Famer Kevin Sullivan for scores, analysis, interviews, and live video of games on the ESPN690 social media platforms.
Now back to more of ESPN 690 Game Day Live from the Duval House. ESPN Game Day Live is brought to you by Polar Seltzer, Celsius, and Go Tekken. Back to Brent Martineau and Kasey Kuhrts.
ESPN 690 Game Day Live. Kasey Kuhrts, Brent Martineau down at the Duval House. The Houston Texans, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Give you an update real quick on what's going on in London. Brent, you know they're already playing football this morning?
I kind of forgot about that game, really. It's Packers-Giants?
Packers-Giants. 3-0 Packers, by the way. So that was the update. Packers kick a field goal on the first drive. Giants struggling. 3 and out. Packers got the football back. That's the update. So anyway.
Daniel Jones is playing, right?
Daniel Jones is out there. Didn't look good on the first drive. They gained all of 0 yards. So, maybe he shouldn't have played. But anyway, they are going. And hopefully you checked your fantasy lineup. Also, Tyler Davis with a catch for the Packers. Wasn't he on the Jags?
He was on the Jags, yeah.
Yeah, he lost 4 yards, but he caught the ball. It's 0.6 if you got him in PPR, baby.
There are a couple of Jags tight ends that people are like, oh, they're going to go kill it somewhere else. And I was one with I was guilty of this too. But Tyler Davis is one, he's going to go to the Packers, going to be like Alan Lazard, right? I mean, he's had moments. He's stayed in the league. He's been okay. Like Kansas City has done better with who's the guy that used to have the quarterback turn tight end?
Blake Bell.
Blake Bell, yeah. They've done okay with him at times. I don't even know if he's still on the roster, but Josh Oliver.
Did you see he scored? Yeah.
Josh Oliver scored, right?
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So he scored. So I always thought the Ravens would turn Oliver into something that the Jags would regret giving up on. That really hadn't materialized now. And if you can't really come up big at tight end for the Ravens, then you're probably not going to be a huge factor.
Yeah, hard to get on the field, though, with Andrews, but yeah, I'm with you.
That's true. So, I mean, again, he's still in the league, so there's something to be said for those guys. But I thought the Jags kind of gave up on him with the injuries, and that was a weird one. Remember that last year? They just kind of like gave him away.
Yeah, it was like a 6th or a 7th or something, yeah.
Yeah, and he was a former third-round pick. and he still had like 2 years to go on his deal, and they just gave him away. And it was like we were like, oh, this is going to come back and bite it. And it didn't really happen with Josh Oliver. So there are a few tight ends floating around there, but I always say that's a good thing, too. It's the nature of the NFL that guys go join other teams. And there was a long time around here where Jags would cut somebody and they'd retire because they couldn't get a job somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know? So the talent is a little bit better. Hey, talking a lot of Jags Texans. Brent Martineau, Kasey, Kuhrts, ESPN690, Game Day live for the Duval House. River City Pride, the beneficiary today. Go Tuckin'. I see the carts out here. Get a ride with Go Tuckin'. We've also got Polar Seltzer to hand out. I see some folks getting some right now. So the same goes for Celsius Essential Energy. Big cooler filled with Celsius Essential Energy. Live fit and getting a sample as we walk by the ESPN690 Game Day. ESPN690 Game Day live from the Duval House show, and say hello if you want. Pictures are being taken, Kasey. We're going to get you down here sometime. It's a little warm on the front porch.
Thanks for covering, Brent. Microphone broke. I was trying to fix it.
I was going to say, did he leave us?
No, I'm all good. So, literally, I'll take you behind the business, folks. Brent, you can't see him on video today. Not sure why. Not really important. But he's like, hey, I'm grubbing. Bring it back. I was like, sure thing, Brent. Not a problem. And as you said it, my microphone fell off the thing. So I was like, I got no microphone. Brent's eating. What a disaster. But good news. You didn't know until now. Look at us.
I didn't know. And so you told us. I mean, you got to hide some of these things in the business.
Would
never have known.
I like to put it out there just so people know what we're working through.
Yeah, that's fine. I like that too. That's okay.
And if you're on the stream, you saw me trying to screw the mic back into the thing. So anyway.
All right, we got some answers, by the way, to the big play. My man Noah Schlitzup, hope you're feeling better, Noah. Jake Luton to DJ Chark for a 73-yard touchdown pass against the Texans.
Yep, that was
2 years ago.
That was his first pass, I believe. If that, yeah.
Now that was didn't he also have a big one against the Packers? Did Luton hit somebody big against the Packers?
I didn't even know Luton played against the Packers.
Yeah, he started that game against the Packers. But maybe it wasn't 73 yards. Maybe I was thinking of that play, and that was really against Houston. Agnew took a handoff 66 yards last year. Thank gosh for Jamal Agnew last year.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
I do remember that play.
I do too, no.
So there it is. So you got a 66 and a 73. And then we also had Leonard Fournette going back to the 90-yarder.
Yes.
But the point is, can we get an ETN play like that? He's the guy. Agnew can do it too. Zay Jones might be the guy that can deliver that. So you got three guys that can probably deliver a big-time play. But I say this, and I'm saying it, why don't the Jags have more of it? And blah, blah. I don't really mean the rest of the NFL has 75-yard plays every week. It doesn't happen a lot.
No.
You know, I mean, you have 58-yard plays and 54-yard plays. But, I mean, look at Tyreek Hill. I mean, I don't think he's catching a 78-yard touchdown 4 times a year.
No.
And he'd be the guy that would be able to do it.
He's definitely not now.
Yeah, definitely not now. So anyway, it's just – but the thing about it is you want a guy with the ability to do it. And ETN gives you that ability to do it. Will we see it? Oh, I don't know. It's just not commonplace in the NFL. But I like the fact that he can threaten that and have the ability to do that. And we'll see if that is the case. All right, so you said Packers-Giants. We're going to get a lot more Jags in our number 2 coming up. And let me get what else we got today. Packers-Giants, it's 3-0. We get your eyes on everything else. In the AFC South, you have the Titans and Commanders. This would be a great time for Washington to beat the Titans. Otherwise, Tennessee's going to go to 3-2 after what we saw was a slow start. But keep an eye on this one for the Titans because Tennessee can be weird. They'll go beat a good team and then lose to somebody like the Commanders.
True.
Like that is a little bit their MO. Like it's odd, but it does happen. The Colts played Thursday night and somehow won a football game, so they have 2 wins.
Yeah, that was bad.
So as you look at it, and we're early in the season, but hey, this is fun conversation. This is I think it's a big deal. Again, you want to be 3-2, you want to be above 500, but you also want to keep pace. And the longer you can stay in first place, and you got this city and this town and the building and everybody looking up at that standings, and the Jags are in first place. And by the way, would be 2-0 in the division, and would be 2-0 at home. And you got a division game next week with a hurting team in the Indianapolis Colts. That's what's on the line today here in Jacksonville for the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, let's take a break. We come back. We got to talk about the run game, right? What about your guy, Dameon Pierce, former Florida Gator? How big of a factor is he today? What scares you about the Houston Texans? Or is this really all about the Jacksonville Jaguars not hurting themselves? Because the 2 losses so far, you give it to the other teams for making a few plays here or there. This has really been more about the Jags kind of stumbling.
You don't give the other teams all the credit. That's definitely true.
Yeah, you can't with the way the Jags have played so far. So this is the Jags got to stay out of their own way. And if they do that, is there even a path to victory for Houston? Talk more about this game and break it down. Coming up, ESPN 690 Game Day live from the Duval House. Go Tuckin, Celsius Essential Energy, Live Fit, Polar Seltzer. Come on by, say hello. We've got it all out here on a beautiful Sunday in Jacksonville. 11:30 a.m. countdown to kickoff on CBS 47. 1 o'clock kick on CBS 47 as well. And we got a full day ahead on ESPN 690 on a Sunday.
Now you see it, now you don't. It's the Ghost Your Payments event going on now at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. That's no payments until 2023 on your pre-owned purchase. Arlington will even waive your last 6 lease or loan payments. Poof, they're gone. Got a trade? Arlington will pay up to MSRP for your trade. What are you waiting for? Shop the Ghost Your Payments event before this sale disappears. In person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard and online at arlingtontoyota.com today. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/October for full details.
We've talked so much about life after sports for athletes. You've heard Emmett Smith talk about it, but you don't have to be an athlete to feel pain, and especially joint pain as you get a little bit older in life. Many people do it, and what QC Kinetics is doing for people here that have it is nothing short of amazing. We're talking real lasting relief from joint pain. Hey everybody, it's Brent Martineau. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in exciting new pain treatments with advanced regenerative medicine, non-surgical alternatives we've been telling you about. If you're living with joint pain from injury, or maybe it's arthritis, don't let them tell you steroids and pain meds and surgery are your only options. Maybe you've been diagnosed with bone-on-bone arthritis, been told you need a replacement. Call QC Kinetics now for an alternative way to deal with the pain. Here's what you do for a free consultation, 904-274-5522, 904-274-5522 in Mandarin and in Ponte Vedra. Call QC Kinetics now. Don't keep living with that pain. Learn how regenerative medicine can give you your life back with no drugs, no surgery, 904-274-5522.
The Sertoma Club of St. Augustine is set up to help those less fortunate without a complicated qualification process in order to get them the assistance they deserve in an expeditious manner. The type of assistance that they have given others ranges in a variety of ways, everywhere from wheelchair ramps to home repairs to helping with medical bills. Sertoma of St. Augustine, a hand up and not a hand out. Learn more and how you can help at staugustinesertoma.org.
Sure, we have 30 seconds to tell you that drivers who switch to Progressive could save big. But then what? We could romance the legal copy. It never gets the attention it deserves. And some lawyer worked real hard on it. So take it away, lawyer.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
Now that was some beautiful legal. Well done, lawyer. Well done.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN690, a Cox Media Group station.
This is SportsCenter.
Hello there. I'm Mark Robbins. The Packers and the Giants are underway in London. Green Bay scoring a field goal on its first possession, and that's where they stand. 5.5 to go first quarter. The Packers with a 3-0 lead on the Giants. In college football from Saturday, Alabama didn't have Heisman Trophy winning quarterback Bryce Young able to play for him. He was out with a shoulder injury. Crimson Tide still hung on and beat Texas A&M, I should say, 24-20. And any win is hard to come by and appreciated, but Bama head coach Nick Saban does want to see improvement.
Didn't take advantage of opportunities in the red zone, come up empty-handed a couple times, whether we missed a field goal, didn't score a touchdown. whatever it might be. So we got a lot of things that we can work on. We got a lot of things that we need to improve on. I think everybody's got to make a choice and decision that they're going to do the things they need to do to play the best that they can play and be the best player that they can be. That was not our best football out there tonight.
That was Nick Saban, Alabama's head coach. No top 10 upsets this week. However, at number 11, Utah defeated by 18th-ranked UCLA. Bruins winning at home 42-32. South Carolina wins at number 13, Kentucky by 10. The Wildcats without injured quarterback Will Levis. Notre Dame beat number 16 BYU 28-20, while out in the Pac-12, Arizona State upsets number 21 Washington, final 45-38.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
This should be Tom Brady's last year. You're 45 years old. You're still playing good football, but it's not as crisp.
Get more from the guys Monday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
It's game day. Welcome to ESPN 690 Game Day Live. Live from the Duval House, next to TIAA Bank Field. ESPN Game Day Live is brought to you by Polar Seltzer, Celsius, and Gotakin. Here's Brent Martineau and Kasey Kuhrts.
Hey, it's heating up here on a Sunday morning in Jacksonville, River City, buzzing with the Jags playing some pretty good football in the first month of the year. Can they do it in October here at home against the division rival, a team they've lost to 8 consecutive times? It's the Jags and Texans today at 1 o'clock here in Jacksonville. Brent Martineau, Kasey Kuhrts, ESPN690 Game Day live from the Duval House. River City Pride, once again, the beneficiary of this week. And next week it's going to be the Tom Coughlin J Fund with the Giants coming into, 2 weeks with the Giants coming into town. So each and every week a different beneficiary from the dollars raised here at the Duval House. So come on by, get a wristband, have some fun, join the party, and then you can make a donation, if you will, to the charities that are supported here at the Duval House. Phillips and Hunt, big shout out to Teresa Spencer as well. Does a fantastic job getting everything together, and we're happy to be a part of it. Year 2 for us will be a part of this here at the Duval House each and every home game, and also with the Florida-Georgia game. We've got our tents set up. We've got Celsius and Polar Seltzer having a good time. We got more tents being set up. So it's really a lot of fun. Stop on by on your way to the game, or if you're just downtown and not going to the game, and you can be a part of the festivities anyway. Got to join the party. So looking for something to do, come on by the Duval House, right at the foot of the Hart Bridge, the Teal House. You can't really miss it. And it's where, well, you probably look over and you see a bunch of tents and a lot of fun happening here on a Sunday morning. Let's get to Steven. He's been trying to get in, and we got you on a Sunday morning, Steven. You ready to go for a Jags-Texans game today?
Oh, you know it, man. I'm on the road right now to the bank.
All right.
But I just wanted to throw in, when you guys were talking earlier, I expect, like, the next 4 games, especially watching that game I had to turn off mid-second quarter of Colts and Broncos. I ain't worried about that. Giants not worried. And tonight, or today, I feel the Jags are just going to open up a can of you-know-what. Walker and Allen are going to speak today. And, Brent, you do interviews. If you interview Allen or Walker after the game, you got to ask them the big question. They were photos taken on Jaguars. They were, I guess, getting pointers from Tony Bracken. You've got to ask that question. What words of wisdom did he give you to make you 10 times better?
All right, yeah, that's a good one. Thanks for doing my job for me, Steven. We'll ask that question. I saw those pictures as well with the alum in town. So thanks, man. I appreciate you checking in. Have a safe drive down to the stadium. We'll see you at the bank in just a few. You know, there are some of those games where you think, okay, Jags are just going to roll. Now, the games that it happened in, Indianapolis, the Chargers, 62-10, combined score, didn't really anticipate that.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody thought that. So these are the games where people are like, oh, okay, I could see it really snowballing. And I hear you. I know what you're saying. But it usually doesn't happen when you can see it coming. That's my point. That's the moral of the story.
Right.
I think this is going to be a lot closer game. In fact, I thought earlier in the week, I do on Jaguars.com, we give some analysis and predictions. And so I get that one in kind of early, like midweek. And I was like 30-17. I think I picked the Jags. And I kind of feel like, listen, they're going to dominate the game and they maybe score late to put it out of reach. But it's like still a game. I don't feel like it's 35-3 type of game. And now I'm starting, I've kind of like, I would back off that a little bit. I just feel like the Texans, the streak, the Texans have been pesky, man. Every game they're playing, they're in it in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, cover a lot of spreads.
They do cover a lot of spreads, and this one's 7. So I would think, I don't know. I just got a feeling. Don't you kind of feel Houston's going to be in this thing late? And then the Jags are going to have to show us something else, and that is, can they win in the close game? Because they've lost 2 one-score games, and they've won 2 blowout games. And so you're going to have to figure it out down the road. And I still think there's another element the Jags have to fill out, and that's Trevor Lawrence. Can you win in a 2-minute situation? He's had the ball in his hands twice this season already, 2 minutes or less to go, and plenty of time, and they haven't been able to get it done. Let's hope that's not the situation today. They need to do that, because I think the Jags are better than Houston. You'd almost want Mills in that situation where he's got to lead a touchdown drive and you stop them. I could see more of that scenario today, Kasey.
Yeah, I would actually like to see that scenario, because I keep thinking with the defense, like I know the defense is pretty good. I feel comfortable with that even last week. I still feel good about it. But I want them to go and win a game. Ideally, not against Houston, because you should be able to handle Houston. But if it comes today, then I will be happy with it, because I think the defense needs to take that step to evolve, I guess, even farther is the word. I'm thinking about Pokemon. You evolve them. Anyway, yeah, I'd like to see the defense make that play against Davis Mills and truly show that they are dominant.
So, do the Texans scare you in any way?
No.
They really don't have that scary team, right?
No, I like Davis Mills. Like Brandon Cooks, there's a situation where Brandon Cooks is a problem, right? You got to have Tyson Campbell on Brandon Cooks, because we saw what happened when Terry McLaurin was on Shaq, or Shaq was on Terry McLaurin. He ran right by him. Brandon Cooks can run right by a lot of people. I don't need to see that one play itself out again. So there is like an element of that. By the way, Nico Collins, not having a good year. He's not a slouch. The guy can make plays. I don't want it to be today, but he can. And then you got Dameon Pierce. You have 3 guys that are, I'm not scared, but they're good football players, and you got to address it, I should say.
And even on the defensive side, you mentioned Jonathan Grenard's out in this game, but Derek Stingley, they make a big investment with the 3rd overall pick. They get him. He might be a stud someday. I don't think he's a stud yet. Yeah. You know, like, you're not like, oh my gosh, don't throw his way. I don't feel that way about Stingley. I don't think the Jags will feel that way. Not to say he can't make a play, but I don't think he's there yet. He might be down the road where you have to really game plan to stay away from him. He could become that kind of player. So even defensively, where I think they're solid in a lot of spots, Kasey, they don't really have that X-factor guy where, you know, again, the Jags look at going to Chargers. They got to worry about Mack and Bosa and Derwin James as the X-factor. Last week, you got to worry about, well, I should have worried about Reddick a little bit more, but you got to worry about a bunch of guys like even Darius Slay. Are you going to go his way? So the Jags don't have that with Houston, and that's why I think Houston sleeps on people sometimes, right? They don't have like this, wow, going to jump off the film and scare the heck out of you. And I think guys know that. When you look at the film, when you're studying them, you're like, well, okay, like, good player, I respect them. Good defense, I respect it. They can do this or that, I respect that. But it's not, oh, wow. And in this league, when you have, oh, wow on tape, you really respect it. And you really start detailing. And you're focused and you're locked in. And I think that's where right now the Texans have caught people sleeping. Now, the Texans haven't played anybody either until the Chargers last week, who were banged up, and then the Chargers kind of put it on them.
Yeah, it's true. I think, but to your point, Brent, they do have some – I like the Texans roster, I think, more than anybody else, including the people in Houston, and you guys have laughed at me for it. But to your point, like, I'm not scared of Stingley, but – like, I don't need this to be the game he finds his confidence, because he's a good player. He got picked 3rd for a reason. So don't give him a reason to start playing with swag. The DB from Baylor, who's a rookie, whose name escapes me, which I should have known, but he's a good player as well. He has a couple of interceptions, I think, already this season. So they do have pieces, but don't give them a reason to be confident, because anybody playing with confidence is scary. You've seen that from the Jags defense. They were playing with confidence for a couple of weeks. It was terrifying. Offense as well.
Well, and we know the way the game it wants to be played for the Texans. They're going to run the football. And so I had put a lot of emphasis on this week. I think this game is very simple in a lot of respects. The Jags can beat them a lot of different styles through the air. They can get it to a lot of different players. Who knows going to be the stud today for the Jags offense? And you hope it's multiple, but this might be Marvin's game. This might be Ingram's game. This might be back to Kuhrts' game, which I think you got to get him going again. This might be James Robinson on the ground. Like, they have a bunch of ways. It's the ETN breakout game. Who knows? Bunch of ways. The Texans, they're going to simplify it. It's going to be Dameon Pierce. It's going to be Dameon Pierce. It's going to be Dameon Pierce, and then we're going to try to beat you with Brandon Cooks and Davis Mills. We're going to put them in a good spot. Like, that's it. Everybody knows it. Like, there's not a lot of mystery there with Houston. And so it comes down to the very basic principles of football. Run the football, stop the run. And I think that leads to kind of the way this game will unveil itself and unravel in a 3-hour stretch at 1 o'clock today here in Jacksonville. It's simply that, Kasey. Like, you don't have to overanalyze it. Can the Texans run the ball? If they do, they're going to be in this thing in the fourth. If they can't, could be a blowout. Can the Jags at least run the ball with some efficiency, effectiveness, and have enough snaps to be able to give it to their guys? And then that will either open up the pass or create some other options. That's it. Like, it's a very simplistic game, in my opinion, between these two teams.
Yeah, you're exactly right. They're going to give it to Dameon Pierce. They showed that last week, at least the Texans will. And again, it was very similar what Dameon Pierce did, at least early, to what James did against, Indianapolis? Most of the games, actually.
Indianapolis would have been the game, yeah.
You know, there's not a lot going on, boom, big run. Yep. And that's what Dameon Pierce did.
75-yarder,
75, straight to the house. So, like, that can't happen. And if you're the Jags, you can't let that happen, because I think Brandon Cook's going to have a big play at some point today. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to result in a touchdown, but it's going to happen. It always happens against the Jags. Brandon Cooks is always open down the field for some reason. So I'm going to just count that's going to happen. So you can't let Dameon Pierce make that play as well, because now you're looking at 2-3 big plays in the game, and you're like, oh, no, here we go again with the streak. So, yeah, you got to stop Dameon Pierce. I wonder, though, how that looks without Kasey, Brent.
Yeah, and that's a big factor here. I just don't – I think Kasey, you're going to miss him. I also think, you know what, you got to overcome some of that sometimes. And you've got to be better to be able to stop the run. The Jags have been really bad at times over the last 15 years, and they've still been able to stop the run because they collectively just do their assignments. Like, the run game is more about that, is knowing whatever they want to call it. You want to talk about gap integrity, you want to talk about tackling, you want to talk about eye discipline, you want to talk about all those key football words. That's what stopping the run is all about. Jags had 18 missed tackles last week.
It's a lot of tackles.
Jags had Jalen Hurts. They weren't sure if he was going to keep the ball, and their eye discipline was off. Their gap integrity then goes. See what I'm doing here? Like, I'm talking football, X's and O's style. But that's what happens. Like, we know that. We know that. That's what happens. But that doesn't take, 11 stud guys to stop the run. It sure helps if you have them.
Sure.
But it doesn't take them. It takes just kind of doing your job, like a very simplistic thing, and not getting pushed around. The Eagles are not going to get enough credit for pushing the Jags around when we talk about it from a Jags perspective, because of the things I just told you, the 18 missed tackles, and their eyes were on Hurts a little bit. But the Jags also got pushed around in that game. I don't see Houston's offensive line pushing the Jags around. This is a different animal. Like, they might want to run, and Dameon Pierce can be pretty good, and I know they can, but that's not the Eagles' offensive line. That should not be this way. So I think the Jags will do a much better job on the run. One thing about Pierce that's interesting, they're starting to believe in him more.
Yeah.
Something Dan Mullen didn't do.
Amen, brother. Who you telling?
But look at game one as a rookie in his first NFL game. He got 11 carries.
Yeah.
Game 2, he got 15 carries. Game 3, he got 20 carries. And game 4 last week, he actually, in his best game, he only had 14 carries, had the big breakout run. But they were down big in that game, Kasey, so they kind of had to abandon the run.
I think he had a couple catches. Don't quote me on it unless he did.
No, he had 6 of them.
Yeah, baby. I knew it. Exactly. Quote me on it.
But let's be completely honest here. Dameon Pierce is not a catching threat out of the backfield. He had 6 catches for 8 yards.
Well, 6 fantasy points, Brent. I don't know what to tell you.
And they usually don't throw to him. Like, that's not his thing.
Right.
So he is not Austin Eckler. He is not
even.
ETN. In fact, I would say James Robinson's more of a pass-catching threat than a guy like Pierce.
But the thing is, he hasn't been yet, but they did that at Florida. So, like, it could come back.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I just haven't utilized him in that way, but maybe that's another evolution of the game as we continue, or his game, and the way they're utilizing him. But what's interesting about what I just told you now, 11, 15, 20, and 14, those are the numbers of carries in the 4 games. They haven't got it to him like 25 times, 27 times.
Yeah.
And they got Burkhead, but they also just haven't been in a situation, they're not very good. So you don't lead a lot when you're not very good. And so I'm not sure he's ever going to get to that many carries this year.
Probably not. Unless they get a lead.
I mean, 20 is his high. And let's not over-dramatize Dameon Pierce. The Gator fan base here that knows him thought Dan Mullen was, like, just not using him correctly. And they were right.
They were
For whatever
right.
reason, they didn't want to use him. Dan Mullen's pass-happy guy. They didn't use him.
Nope.
But Dameon Pierce is also not Tony Dorsett.
No. He's a quality player, Brent.
He's a good player, and he's off to a nice start. And he had finally a game last week that got people's attention, and most of it because of the one run.
Yeah, but I think if you go back to Florida, if Dan Mullen runs him, he becomes like a second-round running back. He got drafted as a running back. He didn't run the ball. He had like 9 carries a game in Florida. You know what I'm saying? Like, they did him a disservice, but the Texans early in the not early in the draft, but early in the round they picked him, identified like, hey, a lot of teams did. The Jags did for a while. We were talking about him on this show, or on 3 to 6. Like, he's a talented guy. It might take some time to get his feet under him, which might be good for the Jags, but he might be a really good back in the league.
He might be. And again, I'm not saying he's not a bad player. I mean, he's a bad player. He's a good player, and I think he's going to have a nice career. I'm just not ready to, like, give him the Hall of Fame flowers yet.
No.
You know, and I think around here, because you know this, the gate that was such a conversation point on a Saturday afternoon if you were watching and you're watching on social media. And, I mean, Gator fans became so obsessed. And there's a lot of crossover, right, between Jags and Gators. And so I just think, like, it's like, oh, my gosh, Dameon Pierce. Like, both of the Jags running backs, in my opinion, are better than Dameon Pierce.
I would agree with that statement.
So, like, the Jags have the advantage in the running game today.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There is no doubt. Absolutely.
So that's what I'm just trying to. I'm not trying to also disrespect Pierce. I'm just telling you, okay, listen, he can do it, but this just doesn't have the feel of, oh my gosh, look who's coming to town. Like when Derrick Henry plays, you get that feel. Dameon Pierce is not there yet. Maybe he will be there at some times. Again, I'm trying to be careful here. I'm not trying to set him off for like a 220-yard game today. But you got to respect it. And it's more about, in my opinion, Kasey, it's what the Texans do. Like, that's what they do, and that's what they have to do, and that's how they're going to execute and win or score. Because if they just put it in Davis Mills' hands, well, he's probably not throwing it 45, 50 times and getting it done. A lot of young quarterbacks aren't. But that's not the MO. That's not their recipe to win.
I'm with you on that, and I think just going back to the Dameon Pierce part to bring it full circle is, you know, he's probably the lowest ranked running back in the league right now, or in the not the league, the division, but he could get there, and he has the skills to get there, but you got to take advantage while he's still a young player. Don't let him gain the confidence, like I said, with their defense. You let some of these young players start playing with confidence that came from winning programs, and they're going to remember what it's like to win and get in that position. So don't let this be the game Dameon Pierce becomes a household name. And you shouldn't be scared of him yet, Brent, to your point, because, you know, he's still a young player. He still has to find his feet. Maybe in a couple years we'll be having this conversation, but right now, he's just a regular rookie running back that you need to take advantage of. Your running backs in Jacksonville and James Robinson and Travis Etienne are better, and you got to go out there and prove that you're better. Stop the run and handle your business. It's that simple.
Yeah, I think that's well said. I believe this, too. It's worth noting, we actually do this on our Countdown to Kickoff show. We actually have a king of the AFC South who runs the AFC South. And last week it was James Robinson on the throne, and this week actually it's going to be Dameon Pierce on the throne, coming off a big week. And we know it's a good running division, but it's worth mentioning sometimes, especially with the emergence of Pierce, that it's a really good running back division.
Yeah.
You know, and the problem is it's a little disrespected, because Pierce I mean, I'm kind of doing it to him, but James Robinson doesn't get the love that he deserves.
Yeah.
And so people don't put him in that conversation because Derrick Henry gets so much attention, and he's earned it. Jonathan Taylor gets so much attention, and he's earned it. But the other guys are a little under the radar. You know, James, and even Etienne hasn't done it yet, and also Pierce, who's just come on board. But the moral of the story is it really is as good as advertised when you're talking about the running backs in this division.
Yeah, it's true. It might seriously be the best running back division and the worst wide receiver division. Or conference. Or, yeah, division. Sorry. I'm out of it.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, you know how true that is the Jags have the best receiving threats
No
by
doubt.
far.
Yes.
Like by far.
Unquestioned.
Now, people take Pittman's a good player. Been very quiet this year for the most part, and he's been hurt at times. Brandon Cooks, good player, but they got not a lot else that scares the heck out of you, right? And then Tennessee, and now they lost Treylon Burks for a bit too. But with the absence of A.J. Brown, they're not doing a whole lot that's going to scare you. So it's a really good point. Save that topic for next week.
Okay.
On the show.
I'll write
That's
it
a
down.
good one. But it is a pretty wild thing that the running backs are as good as advertised. And they can change games week in and week out from the AFC South. And probably, by the way, it's a really good reason why the division has chances, even though it doesn't look that strong. It has chances to beat just about anybody, and a couple weeks ago they proved it. Well, they beat the Chargers, and they beat the Chiefs, and they beat the Raiders in the same week.
Good week.
That was a good week. We'll be back. ESPN 690 Game Day live from the Duval House. Beneficiary today, River City Pride. A big shout-out to everybody who supports ESPN 690 Game Day live from the Duval House. That includes Phillips and Hunt, of course, John Phillips and Teresa Spencer. Big shout-out to them. Go Tuckin is here. I'm looking at their vehicle. I just watched a bus go by, so if you need a ride around the stadium, Go Tuckin is the place to get it. And we've got Celsius Essential Energy, Live Fit. Of course, we're handing those out right underneath our tent. And we also have some Polar Seltzer, too, to pass out if you're walking on by. We'll be right back on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 pays your bills.
Are you kidding me?
You've got 5 chances to win $1,000 every weekday at 8 a.m., 10, noon, 2, and 5 p.m. This is a nationwide contest message and data rates apply. Complete rules at ESPN690.com. ESPN 690 pays your bills on ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
Now, the first alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Mostly sunny and hot for Sunday. Totally different from Saturday when it was cloudy and gloomy all day. We'll have that sunshine with just an isolated shower midday. Still plenty warm with highs near 90. Then we go partly cloudy tonight with overnight temperatures in the 70s. Enjoy your Sunday. From the Action News Jax First Alert Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Corey Sema.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds. Save thousands on buy one, get one on wedding bands now through October 23rd.
Are you wasting money on a timeshare you rarely use? Cancel it with Titan Exit Group. Get a free consultation and see how they can stop the never-ending maintenance fees and mortgage payments. In fact, if your timeshare contract is not terminated, you owe nothing, so you have nothing to lose. But those monthly fees. Get legally released from your timeshare, 100% guaranteed. Call now for your free consultation at 800-200-0894. 800-200-0894.
We expect our information in real time. U.S. Med carries continuous glucose monitors, which provide real-time readings of blood glucose levels. U.S. Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 500 private insurers. So call 800-730-8405 today for a free insurance and Medicare benefits check. As easy as, that's 800-730-8405.
If your property has been damaged in a storm, call me, Mark Anajar, at the law offices of Anajar and Levine at 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733 and take back control of your life.
Main office, Jacksonville. Children's Home Society of Florida's 38th annual Caring Chefs is back. Join us Sunday, October 23rd at the Glass Factory and try samples from the First Coast finest chefs, sommeliers, and craft brewers, all for a good cause. Buy tickets today at chsfl.org/chefs.
When I moved to Jacksonville 15 years ago, I found Nimnick Buick GMC. That led to the Acadia. I had a couple of them. And now the GMC Sierra truck, and I love it. I'm on my second one of those, all from Nimnick Buick GMC. GMC, we are professional grade. I know the product, the service, and I know the people. From Billy Nimnick to Jackie Lynch and James Jones. They've been my friends since 2008. Nimnick has been your friend in Jacksonville since 1941. NimnickBuickGMC.com. It's where I'll get my next truck, or maybe it'll be my kid's first vehicle at Nimnick Buick GMC.
Dad, I don't feel good.
I'll grab the Vicks DayQuil Kids Honey.
Isn't DayQuil just for parents?
Actually, Vicks DayQuil Kids Honey is just for kids, specially designed to treat kids' most bothersome cold symptoms quickly with a honeylicious tasting flavor kids like.
You know what else kids like?
DayQuil Kids Honey first, then video games.
Deal.
Vicks DayQuil Kids Honey, the kids' honeylicious daytime coughing, congestion, stuffy head, stuffy nose medicine. Safe for ages 6+.
O'Reilly. Count on the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to recommend the best products for your vehicle and budget. Get maximum cooling system performance for 10 years or 300,000 miles with Peak Long Life Universal Pre-Mixed Antifreeze and Coolant. Now just $3.99 after mail-in rebate. Limits apply. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey everybody, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks. There's a good chance you have a smart speaker, so use it with ESPN690. Stay up to date on the Jags and all things sports by telling Alexa or Google to play ESPN690. It's as easy as that. Make sure you listen weekdays 3 until 6 p.m. on ESPN690.
Now back to more of ESPN 690 Game Day Live from the Duval House. ESPN Game Day Live is brought to you by Polar Seltzer, Celsius, and Go Tekken. Back to Brent Martineau and Kasey Kuhrts.
Hey, what's happening? Welcome back here on ESPN 690, ESPN 690 Game Day Live for the Duval House here on a warm Sunday, but a beautiful one. Not many clouds in the sky. Looking over TIAA Bank Field as I do from the front porch each and every Sunday when the Jags are home. We'll also have our show from the Duval House on Saturday of Florida-Georgia week for a couple hours. So make sure you always stop on by, say hello. We're passing out Celsius. We're passing out Polar Seltzer. You get a chance to support River City Pride, the beneficiary today. Any of the funds raised here at the Duval House will go toward River City Pride. Different beneficiary every week. A couple weeks down the road will be the Tom Coughlin J Fund. So plenty to see and do and have some fun here on a game day for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Playing the Texans. On the TV side of things, we've got 11:30 countdown to kickoff coming up. I'll hustle over to TV land. And then at 1 o'clock, we got the kick, CBS 47. We have post-game show on our Action News Jax app right after. Hopefully it's a positive, fun one with the Jags winning. And then 10:30 on Fox 30, 11:30 on CBS 47. We have Action Sports Jax primetime. Tonight, Kasey, Sunday night game is, help me out. I can find it. Bengals-Ravens.
Thanks. I wasn't getting there.
We got Bengals-Ravens tonight on ESPN 690. Tomorrow lineup. Now, don't forget, we've got a terrific lineup. We're proud of it. We like it. We have fun with it. It will be in the morning, Monday Morning Madness, 8 a.m. until 10 a.m. Kasey and I back at it. We're getting your phone calls, so get your phone calls ready. You can jump in on social media, too. But then at 3 to 6, Maurice Jones-Drew joins us, 3 o'clock hour. Rasheed Mathis, 4 o'clock hour. And then on ESPN 690, we've got our normal Brent Friends show from 3 to 6, overtime with Kuhrts and Middleton, and that leads into the Monday Nighter, which is a good one, Raiders and Chiefs on ESPN 690 tomorrow night. So that's the lineup the next couple of days. If you're not familiar with it, get familiar with it. It's a good one. So we've got all your football covered is what we're really trying to say in short order. All right, I've got this question this week, and I'm not panicking, but I think it's worth bringing up. A week ago, I said, I don't know if it was on the show or if it was a tweet or whatever. I can't remember where I say anything these days.
Yeah, you talk a lot.
I do talk a lot and tweet a lot. So
that's for sure.
I said, if you look at what Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson have put together, Kasey, I went up and down that 53-man roster, how they acquired him, who they got in free agency, the draft, who they kept. You looked at all 53, and really you looked at the key contributors. What I was looking at is mostly the starters. So you take the top 25, top 30 guys.
Sure.
And they're really, through 3 weeks, you couldn't find a bad move. You could say, well, Darius Williams probably hasn't lived up to it. Darius Williams, like second pass of the game, goes out and knocks the pass away, gets it to Cisco, and boom, you got a pick six, right? So he makes his biggest impact play. What I'm asked, you could go up and down, and I'm not exaggerating here. Like, they were all delivering. It was all good moves, all good picks. Like, I'm talking almost 100% approval rate.
It's crazy.
Which is crazy.
From where we were to where we got, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Incredible.
I mean, it felt like approval rate used to be 27%.
Maybe lower.
But now a week after a loss, see, that was after 2 wins and you were 62-10 and things were flying high. Would you say that still? You still happy with everyone? Is there someone we're scratching our heads about a little bit? Like, hey, we need that game to pick up a little.
I mean, to be honest with you, Brent, not really. I mean, I think it's one bad game, but like I'm not pointing fingers at anybody other than like the quarterback, and everybody was, and I'm not saying replace the quarterback because that's obviously not the right answer. So I mean, even after the Philadelphia game, I still feel pretty confident in most of what they've done, and in some spots even more confident. To the Darius Williams point is a good one. Yeah, I mean, even Smoot, like a guy that hasn't gotten a ton of credit, like still made plays in the Philadelphia game. So I think, yeah, up and down, I still feel pretty good about what they've done. Actually, I feel really good, I should say.
Yeah, I think so too. That's what I was, because you got to go wins. Everybody gets dramatic. Everybody's like, yeah, it's all good. Losses, oh my gosh. And I told you this on Monday. Now I came into Brent and Friends show on ESPN690, and I was like, I'm proud of you, Jacksonville. It's been 24 hours since they lost, and I don't feel that like, oh my gosh, we stink. Here we go. This is terrible. Why they draft this? Why they do this? Like, I just didn't feel it.
No.
And I'm proud of you for that. And it also shows you, listen, we have savvy fan base. They're good fans. They know what it looks like. They know what it's supposed to look like. And I think it shows you that over the course of the month, it's looked good enough to buy into for a longer time that didn't run you off. That didn't scare you. It helped that was a good football team, helped the weather was bad. But I was really proud of the way Jags fans reacted. And there's totally difference about being satisfied with losing. You want to see them get back on track. But I think people also understand the nature of this season going into it. We can't lose that focus of where this thing was. It was 4 wins over 2 years. You're trying to build it back. Well, some of the things, the way it's happening and looks is like, wow, this could get faster than we thought. And so there is that element, but I'm just happy that people didn't panic last week. Now, they might panic if they lose to Houston.
Which might be fair, by the way.
Yeah, it's fair. I've seen a lot of that. Now, listen, it's okay. Lose to the Eagles. Lose next week down to a different story. And I'm not sure that should be the case, but I get it. I get it, and I understand why it would more be the case.
I think it's fair because, listen, I hate to do it, but you can make the argument Saquon Barkley is gone. Sorry. You can make the argument that those couple of games they won, well, the teams were pretty beat up. So you need to beat Houston to prove that, hey, you actually are a good team and not you got lucky against 2 teams that were pretty injured.
Yeah, that's fair. Again, you did get a little fortunate, and then took advantage of that fortune. Well, the fortune here is that Houston's not very good. So now can you go take advantage of that fortune that you have here at home? And really, you got the next month like that, where teams aren't great. Can you take advantage of it? All right, so where's it going with all this? What I'm trying to get back to is Trayvon Walker started the year with a big sack and an interception that was holy cow. And then the next couple of games, he didn't splash, but people like Brian Baldinger breaks down film, or other guys breaking down film like, hey, Trayvon, man, he's wrecking some things. Jags made the right pick with that first overall pick. And I'm not saying there's even an ounce of anybody in town or across the nation saying that's not true anymore after last week. He did get handled last week. A lot of players for the Jags got handled last week.
Yes, they did. Both sides of the ball.
Why do I feel like in the next couple of games, 2-3 games this month, we need to see like a couple more splash plays out of Trayvon? And I'm not sure he's going to get many more picks this year. But it's a big tackle for a loss. It's blowing somebody up. It's a forced fumble. It's a recovered fumble. It's a sack or 2. You know, I feel like we need to, I say we, does the fan base need to see that? Because if we look up and you've got 6-7 games gone by, and he still has, what does he have, 1 sack?
Yep.
And 1 interception? Are we going to start asking that question? Like, hey, wait a minute. Now, where's the production? Problem coming out of college was the production. Is he doing whatever? Because we still do that. We weigh it. We don't care if he stopped the run. You know? We don't care if he's shedding blocks, if they're double team, whatever. If he's making a play 8 yards. We don't recognize that stuff. People recognize splash plays. They recognize sacks. They recognize forced fumbles and turnovers and interceptions like that. So that's what I'm getting at. I feel like, hey, let's keep that thing rolling now. Jags have drafted well. These 2 young players look really good. But you got to keep it rolling. And I think what Devin Lloyd did with his play, see, he's always going to be involved with tackles.
Yes.
Devin Lloyd. So he's going to have almost close to double-digit tackles. Like, and it's going to show up. And what he did with his 2 interceptions is like, if he doesn't get another interception for the next 7 weeks, he already kind of set the table to do his thing and bought equity. I think Trayvon needs periodically to still deliver the splash play. Do you feel that way? Or am I misreading it?
No, I think you're right. Most part of what you're saying, yeah. I think we could use a play or two, the splash play, and I think when you look at the teams you're playing coming up, they're not very good. I'm watching the Giants right now. Brent, they couldn't block us, okay? So when you get to that point, yeah, you're playing some offensive lines that aren't very good, so I would expect that the number 1 overall pick can get in there and make a play. Again, I don't need to see an interception. I've seen it. It'd be great. Don't get me wrong. Pick off as many screens as you want. I'm here for it. But yeah, we need some sacks, tackle for a loss on a big play, even against the run, because you are going to play some teams that are going to run the football. All 3 of these teams that you're going to come up and play, you expect them to run the ball, make some plays against the run. We know that you can do it. We saw it at Georgia. So, yeah, I think you could use that play. But I think what works in his favor is the guys that were picked after him are doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, well,
so
that's true.
if Aiden Hutchinson starts going wild, Kayvon Thibodeau, I think, is in this game, unconfirmed. I'm not even sure because I haven't seen him. But if they are still playing mediocre, then Trayvon at least has the, those guys aren't doing anything to overshow me. But on the flip side of that, if he starts going off and Aiden Hutchinson's nowhere to be found, then it's like, whoa, they made the right call for sure, no doubt. Aiden Hutchinson, is he a bust type situation? So I think that would be exciting for at least the Jags fans to be like, we got this right by a million.
Yeah, I agree with that. Listen, look at the Jags defense right now, and you say, all right, it doesn't matter if Roy Roberts and Harris make splash plays. He's got a job to do. Devon Hamilton, he's got a job to do. We understand that, right? It doesn't matter if we're not talking every week about Andre Sisco and Rayshawn Jenkins, as long as we're not talking about them in a bad way. You do want to be able to talk about Foye Oluokun making a play. You want to talk about Devin Lloyd making a play. Josh Allen, which, by the way, is off to an unbelievable start to this 2022 year. And we want to be able to talk about Trayvon. And I think sooner or later we're going to talk about Tyson and Shaq because they're involved in plays on the outside. They're on an island. So you're naturally going to talk about them good or bad, like every game. But I'm talking about those guys that are kind of in the middle, like in the bunched up stuff. You know, when there's 6 guys in the play, but who actually made it and you need the replay to show it. Like, those are the guys we care if they are making splash plays. Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, Foye Oluokun, if you're paying a ton of money, Devin Lloyd, who you traded up to get. And so those are the guys, in my opinion, that need to stay on that radar. And again, there's a lot of things that feel good around here. There's a lot of vision type, like, wow, I can take a peek into the next couple months, but even next year and into the next 3 years and see, oh, this could get good. But you want that conversation to continue. You want that momentum. You want the karma. I think there is something to it that I can't tangibly say what it is that feeds like directly from the vibe of the city into this building that I'm looking at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they work. So I don't think they're reading every clip, but I think you can feel it because what ends up happening is when they have NFL Network on and all the like Good Morning Football on, people are talking about Trayvon Walker.
Yeah.
People are talking about Devin Lloyd. When you're talking about the odds to win Rookie of the Year, those guys are right up on the in the mix. When you're talking about questions being asked of the media, we're asking about Trayvon Walker. Man, how about that play? Like that's what we have been doing for the first month, and I think we want to keep doing those things for the next month. And I think the more you can keep that going, the better. Just build off it. Just build off it. Just build off it. And I'm trying to say this without getting greedy because you know where I stand on this, Kasey. Like, I don't think Trayvon Walker needs to have 10 sacks this year.
No.
I don't. I like him. I think he's a good player. He's going to be a really good player for years to come. In my opinion, like if he only ended up with 4 sacks, I still love the pick because I think he's going to be really good. And I wouldn't change my mind after 1 year. But for those great words of narrative and optics and everything else, getting up to 7 sacks, 8 sacks, some of these splash plays. You know what happens if you get to 7 sacks? You remember that interception from week 1, which was now like, as you're talking about it in February, some 6 months ago?
Yeah.
You remember it even more.
It's true.
And you just see how that works and that builds and that piles up, and it breeds more success and karma and good things. And this town has been starving for that. And so I guess that's what I'm after a little bit. And if he can make a big play. So keep an eye on 44 today. And Kasey, this is a game that he could wreck a little bit too. You talked about it. Like these next few weeks aren't teams that are like, holy cow, good.
Not at all. Yeah, there's opportunity there. Offensive line is sus at the best. And, yeah, I think there's a great opportunity to, at least bare minimum, and maybe even today, do they ask him, not that they don't ask him to, but does he get more involved in stopping the run since you're missing a Kasey? I think that'll be an interesting thing to see because you know you can do it. So, yeah, I think he's got the opportunity to feast against some bad offensive lines. We'll just see if it comes true.
That's a good point. We will certainly see. And one thing that should not be dismissed here is, holy cow, Josh Allen's off to a heck of a start now.
That's true.
He is playing really well. Outside of like 1 or 2 people on Twitter that I shouldn't even bring up.
There you go.
That for some reason don't think he's any good. They're obviously not watching the same games. He was actually the guy that played well last week on defense.
It's true.
You know, one guy basically. Well, Aluakin too.
Brent, they're showing a preview for Thursday Night Football next week of the Bears and the Commanders.
Oh.
Holy cow.
Oh.
That's
you
good.
actually promote that game?
Yo, this is.
I would put just a bigger NFL commercial on.
Yeah, they're showing it, and they got Justin Fields sliding in the rain. They got Carson Wentz just standing there. I'm like, holy cow, maybe pull that one.
Early flex. They're hoping like a storm comes in. They got to cancel that one.
Best case scenario. Just no Thursday night this week.
We'll be back. ESPN690 Game Day live from the Duval House. We'll put a bow on the show here so I can head in. Kasey will take you home as well, but we've got more to come on ESPN690.
Let's be real. Mopping is a hassle. You have to fill the bucket, pushing a wet, heavy mop around, then cleaning the mop when you're done so it doesn't grow bacteria. A hassle on top of a hassle. Try Swiffer WetJet. With Swiffer WetJet, you start with a fresh pad and cleaning solution every time. And when you're done, you just toss the pad. Swiffer WetJet, the faster, easier, cleaner way to clean your floors.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending Ooma and their all-in-one phone, video, and collaboration solution.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
In Florida, it's not if the storms are coming, it's when the storms are coming. And that's why you need the chief. Jacksonville's chief meteorologist, Mike Burrish, with a proven track record of keeping local families safe. Rain, heat, hurricanes, flooding, tornadoes. We get it all. Just more reasons why you need the chief. Chief meteorologist Mike Burrish, backed by the First Alert Weather Team. Only on CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax.
Beards Diamonds has been busy this fall, getting their showcases ready for the largest inventory of wedding bands in North Florida.
So, if you're getting married soon or want to upgrade your bands, don't miss Beards Diamonds' incredible Buy One, Get One wedding band sale. Happening October 1st through the 23rd.
And only at Beards Diamonds.
All wedding bands are buy one, get one free.
Save thousands. Plus, all stackables, all right-hand rings, all eternity bands, and more are buy one, get one free.
See hundreds of styles from the latest designers at beardsdiamonds.com.
It's the largest selection of wedding bands in North Florida.
At the guaranteed lowest price.
Couples wait for this sale all year.
Buy any wedding band and get the other band free.
Now you can go bigger and better with the band she's always dreamed of during Beard's Buy One, Get One sale.
But hurry, these savings end on the 23rd.
Get the lowest prices in Jacksonville, guaranteed, at Beard's Diamonds at the St. John's Town Center.
Or at beardsdiamonds.com.
Did you know that the air in your home can be much worse than the air outdoors? In fact, the EPA lists indoor air quality as one of the top 5 health threats in America. Zero Res can help. Cleaning air ducts is all about power. The more power you have, the more air you can move, and that's how you clean air ducts. Our truck mount system moves over 1,500 CFMs to pull out all the dirt and debris out of your home. Right now, Zero Res is offering $50 off the cleaning of your air duct system. Zero Res, spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Are you ready for a scary good deal? Then get to Arlington Toyota for the Ghost Your Payments event and watch your payments like a ghost disappear. How about no payments until 2023 on your new Toyota purchase? Arlington will even waive your last 6 lease or loan payments. Got a trade? Arlington will pay up to MSRP for your trade. You'll also get no maintenance costs for 4 years. It's the Ghost Your Payments event going on now at Arlington Toyota, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/October for full detail.
Listen to ESPN 690 anytime, anywhere, on any device. Whether you're at home or on the go, get the latest on the Jags, FSU, the Jumbo Shrimp, and Action Sports Jacks on Odyssey.com. That's AUDACY.com or on ESPN690.com.
Now back to more of ESPN 690 Game Day Live from the Duval House. ESPN Game Day Live is brought to you by Polar Seltzer, Celsius, and Go Tekken. Back to Brent Martineau and Kasey Kuhrts.
Hey, we got a good crowd right out here at the Duval House. What's happening, guys? Ready for a big Jags game? Get the kids out and about, taking a picture with the Jags statue.
Yeah.
They got a big Jaguar right here at the Duval House. And this is ESPN 690 Game Day Live from the Duval House. A few more minutes with me, then I head in, countdown to kickoff on TV on CBS 47, 1 o'clock kick on CBS 47. We got all the festivities combined on the Action Sports Jacks platforms, CBS 47, Fox 30, and right here on ESPN 690 for the next couple of days. Really, every day you've got your football fix, and especially your Jacksonville Jaguars. How about this tweet? Brent Martineau, Kasey Kuhrts, by the way. Kasey?
Yep.
Mike DeRocco just tweeted this. I'm stealing it from him.
Mikey.
If the Jaguars beat the Texans today, they'll do something they've never done. Start the season 2-0 in the AFC South. 2-0. Like, we're not talking like 4-0.
Yeah.
2-0.
Huh.
They've never done it.
Yeah, that's
The
surprising.
last time they started with consecutive division victories was back in 2001, and they played in the AFC Central. You probably don't even remember that, Kasey, but they played in the AFC Central.
I was 3, yeah.
That was a good division, too. Jags had a lot more success in that division. But got a double reverse touchdown for the Giants, huh?
Yeah, so it's funny that you bring up an interesting stat because I've got one for you as well. The Giants just scored a red zone touchdown, or actually just a touchdown, under 2 minutes in the first half, right? So 2-minute warning. They scored after the 2-minute warning.
Yeah.
It's the first time they've scored any points after the 2-minute warning in the first half since week 17 of 2020.
2020?
Yes.
That's over a year ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that is a big factor, too. Like, some teams do it really well. I think the Eagles, actually, this year have done it every game.
Yeah, the Giants not as lucky.
No.
So
but it's a big deal, like, because you can bridge. And, Doug Peterson talked about this. I don't really hear football coaches talking about this. Like, basketball, this is like a cliche. Last 4 minutes of the first half, first 4 minutes of the second half.
Yeah.
Well, Doug actually talked about that the other day, and he actually put in those terms like 4 and 4. He didn't even talk 2 and 2, like he was talking 4 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually talks a lot about the last 4 minutes of the first half, first 4 minutes of the second half, which is interesting. I don't hear that as much in the football world.
Yeah, that's actually a good call. I guess you got to emphasize it, and it's working for Doug Peterson so far this season with the Jags. But yeah, it was a double reverse touchdown. I will tell you the 2 best plays of the drive for the Giants came with Saquon Barkley at quarterback.
At quarterback?
Yep, he had a wildcat that he took for about 50, and then that play started with Saquon at quarterback, and they did the boom boom, and then Bellinger, who plays tight end, he was going to throw it, but he ended up running it in, which is great because I played him at tight end in fantasy. I'm built different. But the Giants are horrible. I just want to make that perfectly clear.
Yeah, they're 3-1 horrible, though,
Daniel Jones is not him.
They're 3-1 horrible. Denver's 2-2 horrible. Indy's 2-1 horrible. And yet I feel like there are then some decently to good teams like the Jags that are 2-2.
Yeah, there's some good 2-2 teams. I agree with that. I was just thinking this, by the way, Brent, with the Jags. Like, I'm watching the Packers, right? And the Packers, they're 3-1. They're at best okay. Like,
Yeah, they're not very good.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not mad that the Jags are playing teams like the Giants and the Jets or whatever. But part of me is like, I wish they played this Packers team.
Yeah.
Earn some cachet, because I don't think this Packers team's very good. I think the Jags are even more talented most spots. So I kind of wish, but at the same time, I'm like, I'll stick with the Giants. It's fine.
Well, you're going to get this a lot because, let's be honest, who is good? The Bills are good. The Chiefs are good.
Yeah. The Eagles are good?
The Eagles are good. Is Miami good?
I don't know now.
Okay, we don't know. Cleveland, Cincinnati, Baltimore, are they good?
I'm not sure.
I think Baltimore's good, but I don't know. Like, I'm not sure you're very good if you blow leads in the fourth quarter the way they do.
Yeah, I think they both have good quarterbacks. I just don't know if they're good all the way around. Actually, I know.
Tennessee, Indianapolis, we know they're not, like, really good.
No.
Kansas City's good. The Chargers are just so beat up. And Denver's not good. And Las Vegas isn't good right now.
No.
Philadelphia, good. Dallas
is good.
You know, Dallas is supposed to be good because that defense is going to keep them in every game.
Mm-hmm.
And they do when they get Dak back, they should be even better.
I think they're better with Cooper Rush, but anyway.
The Giants are not good, and they're 3-1 somehow, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Minnesota, I don't know.
I don't either.
I just don't know. And they're going to win again. They're going to go to 4-1, but they're playing Chicago.
Well, yeah.
But Green Bay, to your point, like Green Bay is going to be 4-1, but I'm not sitting here saying I'm punching their Super Bowl ticket.
No, like they're just okay.
The thing about Green Bay, though, is Aaron Rodgers and guys like Rodgers in Green Bay and these, like, proven teams that have done it before, they will get better.
Yeah.
Like, I have confidence that Aaron Rodgers' team is going to be better in 2 months than it is right now.
That's true. They're still working through some things with the receivers and all this. By the way, Brent, I should mention both Packers touchdowns today. Allen Lazard and Mercedes Lewis.
That's awesome. It's Jags Day in London. That's really good. Tampa, I don't know if they're good, man. They've been beat up, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Tampa either.
But they're going to get healthier, you would think. And Tom's going to play better toward again, same type of deal as Green Bay. Atlanta's not good. I mean, they're better than people thought they're not good. Carolina's good. New Orleans is worse than we thought.
New Orleans is not good.
I don't know if the Rams are good.
I don't think the Rams are good. Like, I'm not sure fully. Like, I don't know what the deal is there either, but I'm not confident in that either.
I don't know what Arizona is, although I think Arizona's going to win today against Philly, and then people are going to start talking about it. Seattle is better than we thought, but they're not good. And then San Francisco's interesting. They might be good.
Yeah, they might be.
Because, again, if we said Dallas is good, well, San Fran's equipped just the same way. They are good defensively, and they can be good on offense. So I would say I'd buy into San Fran.
This is like the hardest year ever to pick Survivor because, like, I don't know who's good. You know what I mean?
But that's the moral of this the point of this conversation, right? It's like, okay, we know Philly. We're going to throw Dallas in there. We're going to put San Fran in there.
Okay.
But again, I'm not taking San Fran in the Survivor, so I'm getting San Fran out of there. I'll take Kansas City any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Yep.
I will take Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
I just named 4 teams, man. Other than that, I'm not, to your point, I'm afraid. Like Minnesota today, my buddy's like, hey, who should I take in a Survivor? Like Jags? I was like, yeah, Jags I think are going to win, but like I'm not taking the Jags in a Survivor pool.
Not a chance.
I've been burned before.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking a team that's lost 8 straight to another team in a Survivor pool.
Yeah.
And the Bills, okay, I'll take them today. They're a 14-point favorite against the Steelers. If I'm going to lose a Survivor pool, I'll take the Bills.
But, I mean, like, I'm trying to hold the Bills to that point. But
well,
like,
yeah, but, I mean, you got to survive, man.
I'm going with Tampa against Atlanta. But, like, I don't even feel great about it because I think Atlanta's sneaky good.
I wouldn't feel good about that.
I don't. But I got no one else to take.
But I told them the Vikings over Chicago. But I don't feel great about it.
I don't either.
But I feel better than I would about Tampa.
Really?
But I do.
Wow.
And the crazy part about this week is, look at the spreads. They're huge this week.
Yes.
There's a lot of big spread. Well, I shouldn't say huge, but bigger for the NFL. Like 5.5, right? 4.5, 5.5. 6. A lot of spreads in the NFL are like 3.5 or less.
True.
And that's not, I think if I looked at it correctly, I don't think that's the case this week. So it's even hard there because I think there's a lot of upset potential today in the NFL.
There really is.
But I don't trust anybody.
No, Nobody's trustable. It's such a weird
Other
thing.
than I trust the Bills, I trust the Chiefs, and I don't even trust the Eagles, honestly, because I'm not sure I believe that they're going to go. I don't trust the team that's the only undefeated team left, because I don't believe that's going to stay.
Yeah, I give
you know
that.
what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
Like, I'd rather the Eagles, if the Eagles were 4-1 or 3-1, I'd buy into them more every week.
Yeah,
But
they're
that
going
zero
to
at
lose
the end,
eventually. Yeah,
they're going to lose. Like, they are. Like, it's just going to happen. And honestly, that's my concern here today. The Houston Texans are the only winless team.
Yes.
In a league full of parity. That's concerning.
They're going to win at some point.
Because they are going to win at some point.
But not today.
Yeah. Listen, if the Jags are going to lose to Houston this year, they need to sweep Indianapolis then and split with Tennessee. Yeah. But if they are going to lose to Houston, this one can't be the one. If you lose to Houston now we might say that game at the end of the year, like New Year's Day, could be even more magnified.
True.
But they can't lose today.
But at least you have, thinking, sunshine and rainbows, at least games at the end, you might have stuff locked up. You ain't got nothing locked up in week 5.
Yeah, this is more pivotal, at least at this stage of it. And we'll see. We'll see. But to be honest with you, if the Jazz are going to do anything this year, there's a really good chance they just sweep Houston.
I mean, that would be the easy way. You'd make things more difficult if you do it any other way.
Yeah, because now, listen, if you're 2-3 after 5 games and you lost to Washington and Houston, how good are you?
Yeah, I'm telling you, it will not be the same vibes tomorrow morning if they lose this football game.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's on the line today. I'm running in there. Countdown to kickoff, CBS 47, 11:30. We'll keep you talking Jags over the next couple hours here on ESPN 690. We've got Sunday Night Football tonight. We got Monday Morning Madness tomorrow, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's a call-in show, reactionary show. Make sure you put it on your list, and 904-362-9901 is the number for that. For Kasey, Kuhrts, I'm Brent Martineau, ESPN 690, Game Day live from the Duval House. Another fun morning hanging out. River City Pride, the beneficiary. Come on by, say hello, raise some funds for River City Pride. And thanks again to everybody who presents and brings us ESPN 690 Game Day live from the Duval House, including Phillips and Hunt, Go Tuckin, Celsius, and Polar Seltzer. Have a good football Sunday, everybody. Thanks for listening on ESPN 690.
It's peak season at Fanatics, and we are hiring. Come work for a great local company you already love. Starting pay is $16 per hour. All Fanatics new hires start with 20 hours of unpaid time off, a 40% employee discount, and can contribute to their 401k. Based on company needs, new hires have a chance to be permanent employees with more benefits after peak season. All you have to do to apply is text FAN to 89743. That's FAN to 89743. Did you write that down? Apply by texting